what it really means to live life golden. Yeah, we're golden, baby girl, we're golden.
When I was 15, I had an encounter with the Rake. I've had 3 more. Here's the first. My brother and I were young, both 15, when we had our first sighting of something we could not explain. Up until recently, we called it the alien, as we had no way to explain what it was. We were growing up in a rural area in Michigan, not completely secluded, but with a good amount of farmland and woods surrounding. Around this time, Call of Duty was still good and rather popular. We also played airsoft and had ghillie suits and camo gear. One night around 2 a.m., we're playing Call of Duty when we get an itch to have some fun. We planned to go on a night raid up our road just to see how sneaky we can be getting out of our house and such, hoping to not get caught. We connected with walkie-talkies so we could stay in contact, with airsoft guns in hand. My brother had the ghillie and I had some black clothing on. We chose to go on either side of our dead-end road, heading toward the open farmland half a mile up. As we were walking up, we were on comms regularly, giggling about how sneaky we were. It wasn't until we made it a quarter way up around where the tree line on the side of the road my brother was on began that I noticed something odd. Something was off with the trees behind my brother. I couldn't make out exactly what it was at first. I calmed to my brother that he needed to move to my side of the road. He asked why at first, but when I sprang back quickly with a "just do it," he proceeded to run quickly across the road. What I didn't tell him was that I was seeing a tall, lanky figure with glowing red eyes about 5 feet next to him standing in the trees. When he moved to my side of the road, I barely had to point it out as he immediately started to ask why I had him come over, but he was cut off by his own vision. I asked if he could see it. When he said yes, we both let out a little bit of an "oh shit." Not knowing if it was real, we ran through the possibilities. Could it be one of those owl decorations? No. There weren't any out here and there were no branches. How about just a figment of our imagination? No, we both saw the same exact thing and it did not change the way it looked, whether we looked at it from the side or from the front. Real? That's when it moved. Not much, but enough to see that it had happened. We absolutely shit ourselves. I looked to him and he looked to me, stated that on the count of 3 we were out. We never ran so fast back to our house ever. We didn't look back as to not confirm what we had just seen, because we were far too terrified. This was the first of several sightings. I have more. This is the second. My second encounter with it wasn't too long after the first. I was 16 and had just turned about 3 months after the first encounter. This time it wasn't as late and I wasn't outside. I was in my house. To explain, I have a walkout basement at my parents'. My room was in the basement, opposite end of the sliding glass door. I always hated that door. So I'm sitting in my room relaxing, but nobody else was home. My family was on a trip somewhere, I can't remember where. When you're sitting home alone in BFE, not only is anxiety constantly there, but all your senses are heightened. I knew it was rather safe, and I also knew where the weapons were if need be. I also had several knives in my room with me. To be honest, I was going home normally without any issue. On the second to last night, though, something was up. I got home from work about 9:45 and just felt odd. The moment I got home, I felt eyes on me, like a stalker. Somebody was staring at me, but who? I'm in the middle of nowhere down a dead-end road. Who the hell is going to be out here watching me? I just went downstairs to my room to hopefully play some PS3 and enjoy Batman and maybe Call of Duty. Now, the stairs to my basement are enclosed down, but on the other side it's open space, which leads out into a living room area with 3 rooms on the left side, and the door on the right. So to get to my room, no matter how hard you try, you end up looking out the glass doors. So I began to walk downstairs, still feeling odd. I just wanted to get to my room and play games. Then I did it. I fucking looked. I noticed something large, 7 feet tall, just run across the door under our deck. I almost started crying. I ran into my room, not thinking that it had run towards the end of my house. I just wanted to feel safe, and that's where safety was. That was until I entered. This is one of the moments in my life that I felt so much dread I thought I was going to actually have a heart attack and die. The rear porch lights were on upstairs, causing light to pour into my room and onto my window shades. Unfortunately, this caused the silhouette to show onto my window. I didn't scream, I didn't run. I grabbed my knife and I stood there. I stared for 10 minutes until I could see it was gone, as I couldn't bring myself to look out the window. Needless to say, I didn't sleep that night and refused to leave my room or look at the window shades at all. I think the scariest part is that we have a large St. Bernard and she didn't even growl. Nothing. Like she's used to seeing the damn thing. Unfortunately, my parents still live there to this day. The third encounter was definitely quite different to the first or second. This time it was spotted by not only my brother and I, but 2 friends as well. We'll call my brother J, and my friends B and A. Both B and A are skeptics and complete non-believers, but we were still calling the thing an alien, so I guess I can understand. This encounter was about a year after the second. Think about that. This damn thing stayed in hiding for a whole year before showing up again. Or at least showing itself to us again. It terrifies me to think of how many times it probably sat outside of my bedroom window. And just a heads up, I made sure that damn porch light was never on again when I was going downstairs. I never told Jay about it though. So basically, it's us 3 deciding to have a little midnight mini airsoft war on ours and our neighbors' properties. We had about an acre and they had about 3. On this plot, there was a large section of wooden area that opens up into a field about a quarter mile long and back into the pine trees. I'll try to find a picture of it if I can. Anyhow, we're having our little war when Jay and I decide it would be a fantastic idea to try and find the damn thing. We joke and mess around with B and A for a bit, slowly heading for the open field. That's when A spots something odd across the other tree line. He just looks and says, "What the fuck?" And we all look in that direction. There, across a huge field, is the damn thing. This alien. Looking 8 feet tall, with its distinguishable glowing red eyes. I couldn't believe it. I froze, and B still couldn't see it. I tried to make sure at least one of us kept an eye on it as we sat there. I tried to point it out to B as we were sitting, and we were staying as low as possible as to not give away our position. That sounds so stupid now. I knew it had seen us before we ever even saw it. The damn thing planned for us to see it. As I looked back, it was gone. Like it vanished. I muttered something at Jay, who was supposed to have been looking at it. He just had some stupid remark to say back. A was frozen still, but too scared to look at that direction. That's when I noticed it. It moved 50 yards to the left of us and was floating. No, it was up a tree. The fucking thing was 50 feet up a goddamn tree. How had it moved that fast and that swiftly to be that far and that high in almost 24 seconds? It was so quick, I couldn't believe it. This time, B and J locked onto it and just sat there, taunting us. I told A to get back to the house. As long as we watched it, we knew it wasn't moving, and he could get there safely. Now, I've only heard something so terrifying twice in my life. Once on that day, and again on the 4th and final encounter. It's hard to explain, and I'll put some type of noise in to try to simulate it. But it shrieked, and A ran. B quickly followed suit, and Jay and I, we just watched it, waiting. Then we gave ourselves the get the fuck out look and ran. We ran, and as we were running, it was a good 500 plus yard sprint back to the house through thick forest and brush. I looked back. Stupidly, but I looked back. In the field, there were randomized pine trees, with just large spaces between them making a strange pattern. The only way I can explain it is that it could damn near teleport, it was so fast. I watched the eyes go from the tree line 50 yards to another tree, then another until the brush was too thick to see the field anymore. After that, we just booked it, ran back inside, thankful to be alive. A was pissed and so was B. Jay and I were excited, happy to know that we weren't insane, but then we realized how terrified we were. We kind of brushed it off and let it go after so long, and it was out of my mind for a long time. Until I watched a video recently. It's called Skinwalker Scream. It's been proved to be fake, but it sounds almost exactly like what we heard. It haunts me. I hate it. I gotta be honest. Ever since I started telling these stories, I'm super on edge. It took me an hour of just sitting in bed last night to fall asleep. I was just so ready to see the damn thing, even though I know it's a physical entity, so there's no way it could be in my house. Anyhow, here we go. I know I said that I would be explaining how the creature looked, but the fourth and final experience was quite short. It was fall, near Halloween or just past, I can't remember honestly. We were older. It was Jay, his girlfriend, and her sister. Jay and I were 18 this time. We were having a bonfire, drinking and such out in the backyard. It was a normal night until we started talking about it. Honestly, trying to spook the girls a little bit. I was a little drunk, not much, but enough to not be thinking completely straight. I started yelling, taunting at it, screaming things like, "Come on, what are you, scared?" We never saw it that night, but that was the second time we heard it. The screech. That horrifying sound. Somehow I remember staying out there long after that, but that's it. Now I'll talk about the anatomy of the damn thing. The first time we saw it, there wasn't much we could make out, as there was a good amount of bushes and brush blocking it. What we could make out was a rather bulbous head leading down to a scrawny body. We could see that the arms were rather skinny, but not much else. I'm not sure if it was slightly hunched or not, but it did seem to be shorter than the second and third encounter. It was about 7 feet tall in this encounter. In the second encounter, I got a much better look at it. With the lights on the porch being on, it had a short body, a set of long, skinny but muscular legs. The toes were almost like what a T-Rex foot would look like, but with an extra rear toe like a chicken or a hawk. The claws on its toes weren't huge, but could definitely do some damage. It ran lightly, almost like it could float against gravity. I think that's why I never saw footprints, but then again, I was too scared to ever look for them. I always hoped it was fake, but I know it isn't. Now we'll move up to the main body. I could see ribs and a spine. It seemed to have the same bone structure as a human. The arms had a huge wingspan. I'd say nearly 16 feet hand to hand. That's not claw to claw. Each claw was about a foot long, on 3 distinct fingers other than its thumb, which was about 6 inches long. Its arms were skinny, but again, you could tell they were muscular and strong. This explains most of its fast movements. It ran with enough speed that I barely understood how it moved. When it ran, it used its hands and feet, like a monkey would be the best way to explain it. It would use its arms to balance and its feet to push itself along. However, when it saw me, it got on its feet and ran, like sprinted, and was gone so fast. That's when it just hung out outside of my window. I had a nightmare last night and woke up several times. now I'm at work and I can't stop thinking about it after retelling these stories. I'm absolutely fucking horrified. I'll keep you guys updated if I ever see it again. It's been 6 years, and I'm terrified to see it again.